And would you say audiobook actress or a narrator? What's
Audiobook narrator is usually how we say it, yeah.
Julia Whelan. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Julia.
Absolutely.
And full disclosure, Landon, my 2-year-old, is still awake. So we might have a special appearance. We might not. We'll see what happens.
It's exciting.
It's like an adventure.
Yeah, it's like immersive theater. It's like, what's going to happen next?
Our family affair.
Yes, seriously. At least it's not the 4-year-old. If the 4-year-old were awake, she'd be, hi!
He's our junior co-host.
So, what is everyone drinking this evening?
Well, I am actually drinking a Pinot Grigio spritzer because I live in the California desert, and it was like, I don't know, like 170 today or something. So I can't do my usual Cab or Pinot. I'm done. I'm baked. So
I don't blame you. I felt like I was going to melt today. It's ridiculously hot where I am too.
Where are you?
And I'm just outside of LA.
Okay, yeah. What is going on? I mean, other than it's July and we shouldn't be surprised, but
yeah, all of a sudden yesterday was nice. It wasn't too bad. And then today it's like 90. And then the next 2 days it's going to be over 100. I swear, I think I'm just going to play Mermaid all weekend.
Like, that's my booth. This, like, padded room back here. And I was in the booth all day just, like, schwitzing, just a puddle. Like, this is terrible. Gross. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, refreshing and lovely, though. What about you guys? What are you drinking?
Yes, Michelle, what are you drinking?
Well, we have, so it was like 95 degrees out here. I'm in Chicago. But it's also like 95% humidity. So, like, you walk outside and you can feel, like just moisture, like hot moisture. It's disgusting.
Yes.
So I am drinking a white, too. And I'm so sad that this is my last glass of the bottle, but I'm drinking the Pinot Grigio Più Gioia from Wink. Look, it's empty.
That didn't happen tonight, did it?
No. This was over, like, a course of 3 days. I made sure to save a glass for tonight, but I probably should have saved like a glass and a half.
There.
I'm drinking a white as well, because apparently that's what all the cool kids are doing tonight.
That's hot, man.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure what kind of white I'm drinking. It's another Wink wine, and it's the Forma de Vida. There's a label, really pretty label here for those of you who are watching.
That is pretty. That's like a book cover. You know, it's very evocative, that label.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's very, it's got a light, like, peach taste to it.
Yeah, this one, I've been drinking the rosés that they sent me, and I'm definitely all about the rosés, but I think this is my favorite wine that they've sent me yet.
That was what I wanted. That's what I was aiming for today, and then I was just like, oh, I can't find a rosé. I can't dig it out of my cabinet, so forget it. It's fine.
Diane sent me a picture of your wine collection. And like goals right there.
That's the problem. It's ridiculous. You have children. I have mine.
Me too.
There are days when I would trade.
Fair.
But
for those of you who are listening, if you want to join in, you can go to trywink.com/www podcast. And you can get $22 off of your first order of wine.
Cool.
Oh, no, sorry. That's my dog. I heard movement, and it's just forever. So anyway, moving back to actual conversation.
Yes.
I was talking right just before the show started. I was talking about how I recognized your voice when I started listening to The Great Alone. And it was a totally different experience from, reading a book by an author you've already read. I mean, it's kind of like it's familiar and you dive back into a style that you're used to. But I started listening and I recognized your voice, and it was so weird. And I just finished listening to The Magician's Lie like a couple weeks ago. So it was still like, I still heard Arden, and I still heard Clyde, and I still heard Ray was his name.
I still remember that. Yeah, Ray.
Oh, but your voices were awesome. So how did you get into doing audiobooks?
So I got into audiobooks through total nepotism. One of my best friends in college, her mother is actually a much lauded audiobook director and producer. And I have an acting background. And when I left business and went to school, I was doing English and creative writing, and became friends with this girl named Ellen. Hi, Ellen. And she, at our graduation, her mom came up to me and said, I think you might be really well suited to this, having the acting background and then having this creative writing thing, and you just might be good at this. And so that was my foot in the door, and I put together a demo. And at that time, it was kind of the beginning of the YA boom. And so they had a ton of YA books that didn't really have voices for them, because the people who've been doing audiobook narration for decades are amazing, but they're not like, convincing 15-year-old angsty first person, like finds out she's a witch or something. There it is. So that's how I started.
So how is narrating similar to acting? How does it vary?
I think there's probably more things that are not similar than similar. I mean, for one, when you're acting, you're really kind of just responsible for your role, for what you're bringing in, and then you're dealing with what a director wants, what other actors is a huge difference in audiobooks. So I feel like actually as an audiobook narrator, I'm a little bit more of a director, where I've got kind of control over the whole world, and I'm responsible for bringing it together. That said, I mean, obviously understanding character arc and characterization and emotional facility is important to the performance, but it's definitely the most control I think an actor can ever have over a performance.
And that behind you, as you mentioned, behind you is your audio booth?
Yes.
For those who are watching?
That's the beast. Yep.
How fun. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Julia, she narrates pretty much all the books. If you go through Audible, there are 28 pages of books that she's narrated. As we mentioned, there was The Great Alone. There was also Greer's book, The Magician's Lie.
Yes.
And I left my notes downstairs, but there's you've narrated quite a few of the big ones that most people have heard of.
There is, like, right now, well, so I did Gone Girl, and that was kind of, I think, the thing that put me on the map. But right now, I've done, like, the things that are big at the moment: The Great Alone, and The Wife Between Us.
Ooh, I've been wanting to pick that one up.
And Education.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
What are you drinking?
He's drinking wine.
Mine. Go watch a movie.
A movie?
Go watch Dino Trucks.
Go listen to an audiobook.
Go see.
I do the Princess in Black series. Yeah, so the other thing that's big at the moment is Educated, Tara Westover's memoir, which is phenomenal. If you haven't read that, do it.
I have not yet. So audiobooks, they've gained quite a bit of popularity in recent years. I know there was a time where people, even myself, I was kind of a little bit snobbish when it came to audiobooks. But now I find myself being the biggest champion of them. Not just because
What changed? Sorry.
Um,
What changed for you?
For me, I think what changed was I had friends who were big into audiobooks. They liked to listen while they gardened. And I've got a long commute right now. I've got about an hour's commute from the day job to home. And the radio sucks in general. And Audible came around. I think Audible really helped make this interesting. Like, okay, well, maybe I can check it out. I can get the subscription and, see how I like them. And it made my commute so much better. And oftentimes I'm by myself in my office, so I'll listen to an audiobook instead of the radio. And that, I think, really opened it up to me, where these aren't so bad. And they're just as good as reading a book, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, there was, I drove from, I drove from here, from Chicago to North Carolina, and I knew by myself with the kids, and it was a 13-hour drive, and I thought, all right, I should probably grab an audiobook, because I knew, like, in the mountains, there are dead spots where the radio won't come through.
Right.
So, and that's when I grabbed The Magician's Lie, and I had that one and another one. It was like a Sherlock Holmes retelling, which was really good, but after like 2 discs, I was...
Or adult?
Adult. It was like Sherlock's Last Case, or The Last Sherlock Holmes. It was really good, but after like a couple discs, I was like, well, let's check out The Magician's Lie, because I have been meaning to read that, and I actually have the book. But after that, I was like, I could listen to books all the time.
Well, that's why you think I do all of them, because I've like done 2/3 of the ones you listen to.
Well, yeah, no, I'm definitely new to audiobooks, but now it's like I can listen when I walk the dog, or I can listen when I'm cleaning the house. And it's like, blows my mind. I'm like, why have I not been listening
multitasking
in the house this whole time?
True. That's going to be a very clean house.
Oh my gosh, I got all the laundry done.
I have to finish this book. I have to clean.
Right? Well, I have like 3 chapters left. I might as well do this extra load of laundry that I never get to.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it benefits everyone if I listen to books.
So, Julia, what would you say for somebody who's on the fence about whether or not they should pick up audiobooks?
Well, I mean, give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was an English major. I read. Am I really echoing to you or just to me?
No, I hear the echo too. I'm just gonna.
I wonder if I put in my. Sorry, this is the other side effect of my job. I get very.
I think I lost you.
I'm here. We're good.
I think I lost Julia, though.
Oh, we can't hear you. Hold on. Oh, yay, live broadcasts.
If I take that out, you can probably hear me again, huh?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I'll deal with the echo. I will just, like, zone it out.
We'll try to do this on our end, too.
Okay. Oh, well. So, anyway, I'm very sensitive to sound, and I'm very, like, ambient noises. It's a problem. It's a problem because I'm so used to, like, listening so hard for noise that shouldn't be there. To people who are on the fence about audiobooks, give it a try, because I'm one of those people that would much rather have the physical book, not even the ebook. I would much rather have the physical book. I'm a reader. I have been my whole life. The one thing I will say that it does, and a much smarter person, a good friend of mine from university, brought this up and wrote a blog post about it, which I thought was really clever. And he said that when you're a reader, when you're a very good, capable, competent reader, you tend to skim what you're reading because you can kind of predict where it's going. So, like, if you're someone who goes for the dialogue, you're like, okay, description, dialogue, here we go. Or the more flowery passages of setting and things like that. We self-select what we need to know to move the story forward. And the thing about audiobooks that is interesting is that you don't have that, you can't fall back on that. And you really do hear the story the way that the author intended.
Mm.
And that is of some value, I think. And I think that people often get more from audio than they do from reading. And I don't necessarily attribute that to performance. I think that has to do with you are forced to take in the book, the full book. So I always say, I think it's worth trying. There's always a little bit of an adjustment period with just getting your ear around somebody doing all the different voices. Like that's not something we do a lot of in this culture. And so that type of storytelling sometimes takes a minute to adjust to, but once people get into it, they get into it.
Well, what you mentioned before, that the person that you met was a director and producer. When you first come onto a project and you're first getting started, what's the process that's involved with getting, your mindset in each of the characters and how you approach everything?
So the prepping process is, I obviously read the book ahead of time, but when I'm reading, I'm making two lists. And one is words that I'm unfamiliar with that are either author invention or they're just, depending on the book, they could be foreign words, different languages, different, the proper nouns, whatever. So I keep a list of words that I need to check. And then I'm also keeping a character list. And on that character list, I'm writing down anything that the author, any intention the author has given the character, whether that's accents or just vocal traits like husky, or, when it's guys, it's always gravelly. And then I'm also doing any biographical information that I need to know, where they came from, parents, that kind of thing. And then where they are in the story, how big they are in the story, because I never want to overcommit to a voice that I can't follow through with. So like The Magician's Lie is a good example where I created this kind of cultivated theatrical voice for her because I knew that I had these flashbacks where I was seeing her as like a young woman coming up, and I wanted to play with that dichotomy. Great Alone has an epic cast of characters that just required some good attention to sitting down and being like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to give these people an Alaskan accent? How am I going to age these characters? I don't want to ruin anything for you, but there's a serious vocal trait that happens near the end of the book for one of the characters that required some working.
Yes, I know exactly what you're thinking of. Yes.
So, all of these things require thought ahead of time. And that book wasn't. So usually what happens is I get contacted by a producer who's either at one of the Big 5 publishers or one of the independent audio production houses. They have a book for me. And usually, with the exception of books I do for Penguin Random House, I'm all alone in my booth just doing it. And then some books are directed where I actually have someone else listening in while I'm doing it in real time, which is such a luxury. And this wonderful thing, that's the way the business used to work. And then we just kind of, as technology got easier and people have home booths, we just moved away from that, which is unfortunate.
So now, I'm assuming you have to read the books before you actually go through it, because you've got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can imagine that plays a role in, like, for example, like The Great Alone, or even with The Magician's Lie, knowing what's going to happen at the end kind of plays a role in how to begin with the character, I would assume.
It is. I mean, I think for me, especially coming from like the writing background, I'm very sensitive to when an author decides to use foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. For instance, I kind of want to be in on that. Mm-hmm. There's a classic like narrator nightmare that happened to a friend of mine where they hadn't read the book ahead of time, which they knew was a no-no, but they just didn't have time. And they got in there, and on page like 475, this character named, I think, Jody turned out to be a dude.
Oh.
And he was like, what did I do? So anyway, that's why you read the book ahead of time.
Absolutely. And I had another question for a moment, and I completely forgot it.
So is there like a gag reel of just like complete blunders or like audiobook bloopers that gets collected over the course of a project?
Yeah, I don't keep mine. But back when, especially when we were doing this all in studio, and there would be, especially running jokes throughout a book, because sometimes, we're human and there's just certain words or certain character names that like never come out right ever. And so you string those together over the course of a book, and it can be constantly. So yeah.
I think it's really interesting because I'm a journalist, so I do my interviews and everything, and then I play it back to transcribe my notes, and I just can't stand the sound of my voice.
No one can. You're not alone.
It's a painful thing to hear. Like, is that what I really sound like? So it's very.
So glad I'm not the only one in this conversation who hates the sound of their own voice, because I go through and I narrate the audio for this, and I'm having to learn to get used to my voice. And like, okay, because before I couldn't even do it. I'd fast forward through my sections where I talk while I was editing, and I'm like, I can't do that anymore. I've got to actually listen to the whole thing. And so I'm getting used to it. I'm like, this is weird. Do I really sound? How can my husband stand me?
That's not how it really sounds. And I think everyone needs to understand that we have no actual objective way of listening to our own voices. And there's just too many filters. We don't have a good sense of our own voice. But I always tell people when they are interested in getting into this line of work, I'm like, let me ask you a question. When you're away and you call your phone to listen to your voicemail, do you like cringe through your own outgoing message? That probably is a sign that you shouldn't do it.
True.
So, yeah.
Well, thankfully, I don't cringe at my outgoing messages. When I have to listen to the voicemails message from my office, I'm like, okay, I don't sound too bad. That part I don't sound like. I sound kind of professional.
Yeah, my professional voice isn't bad.
Yeah, it's my drunken voice that I'm like, eh.
Well,
so before we go on, so we spent so much time talking about the audiobooks because I find it so fascinating. And literally for the last 2 or 3 weeks on the show, audiobooks have come on. And this is why I asked you on, especially so last minute, was because we're like, okay, it's come up so many times. I'm like, we've got to get somebody on to talk about audiobooks because the popularity is just so big and everybody's talking about them. I'm like, okay, we got to do this. But
from authors?
From authors, yeah. The last 2 authors we've had on have talked about audiobooks. We had Amy Runyon on last week, and she talked about, audiobooks, Daughters of the Night Sky going to audiobook recently, and then how her first books got picked up by her new publisher, and the thing that they went after first were the audiobook rights.
Yeah.
The other book rights they didn't care that much about.
Well, that's also because it's just in terms of publishing right now, audio is one of the only parts that's reliably in the black. You're back. So it's making money. Like most, that is reliably making money right now. So publishers want to keep audio rights. Everybody wants to be doing audio. It's a good area for sure.
But you've also got a book out. Or
I do.
Just come out.
I do. Yes, it came out on April 24th. Which I can't believe is already 6 weeks. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's called My Oxford Year, and I don't have my copy yet. I plan on listening to that on audio. It's gonna be my next audio purchase.
I know that you're
but it was funny when we mentioned that you're going to be on the show. We had so many people going, "Oh, that's on my reading list. That's on my summer reading list."
Great. That's good. That's nice anecdotally.
For those of you.
So, what was it? Did you narrate your own audiobook for your book?
I did, which was an interesting experience because part of my editorial process as a writer is to read everything that I'm doing out loud multiple times because I think it helps with pacing and I think it helps with those clunky sentences, and that's just what I do.
Oh, it's a necessary thing. I do it I did it for my book, and I found that like with dialogue, you know how the dialogue is supposed to move, like what you have in your head, and then you speak it out loud. I'm like, oh wait, no, that doesn't sound right. That sentence doesn't end right.
I'm not talking yet. So yeah, I was not prepared for the fact that it would be more difficult than I was expecting, and I think that part of that came from just my own, not being able to turn off the editorial brain. And it's objectively a difficult book. Like every character, there's only really like one American character. Everyone is British. So trying to create, 10 kind of distinct different British voices. And so it was challenging for a number of reasons, but I'm actually also really proud of it, of course. And it was surreal.
Tell us a little bit about the book for those who are listening who aren't familiar with it.
Sure. Okay, so the elevator pitch is a young American woman goes to Oxford on a Rhodes Scholarship, and she's very driven and she's very politically active. And on the eve of her, oh, well, actually, when she arrives in England, she gets the job offer of her life back in the States. And in order not to lose it, she agrees to work remotely for this campaign for a presidential candidate. And while in Oxford, she begins a no-strings relationship with a young professor who, it turns out, has a secret. And she has to confront if the dreams that she thought she always wanted are still the dreams she wants by the end.
It totally sounds right up our alley. I think once I saw that you had done that book and I read the description, I sent it to Michelle, and I'm like, this has to be on our reading list.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. No, I mean, it's actually objectively, because they had me, I mean, the publisher had me put together book club questions at the end and that kind of thing. It is a book very well suited to discussion and book club things. And, you know, we did a lot of giveaways before the book came out that was like, have it, read it with a friend kind of thing. Like, you get 2 copies and share it with your friends. It really is that kind of book, and I wrote it with the intention. So it's good for discussion.
Well, I definitely, and when she texted up to me, she didn't text me saying, this is Julia's book. She just sent me the link, and I read the synopsis, and I said, ooh, that sounds good.
Oh.
And then I looked at it and was like, oh, Julia wrote that.
It's one of those books that, to be fair, because I always feel like I have to tell, I mean, you guys aren't like a romance-only podcast, so that's good, because I always feel like the original, like the early adopters of this book were in the romance community, which is lovely. But I'm also sort of like I narrate enough romance to know that like this may not hit like everything you guys wanted to hit, and I don't want to set up that, you know, it's whenever someone, let's put it this way, whenever someone reaches out to me and says, I'm loving this is so much fun, I'm always like, where are you in it? Because there's quite a demand. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Julia. And like I said, right now we're going to shift over to our Book of the Month discussion, but you're welcome to stay and hang out if you want. Full disclosure, I haven't actually started reading it yet because my copy doesn't get here until tomorrow. So
if you haven't started reading it and I haven't read it, I'll stay.
I'm the only good student here who's read it. So
this is like in comps. This is like a English major thing where we're all like, we look at the one person in the room who's actually read the book, build our opinions on what they're saying. Okay.
Yeah, just follow me. Just follow with me. Yeah, we're just going to tap dance for the rest of the episode and bullshit.
We're so good at that, though.
Great. I'm in.
Yeah, it's one of our secret talents.
So, Diana, why don't you kick us off?
Well, before we do that, I do want to do our audiobook deal. So we do have that on our website.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Can't forget about that.
Sorry.
Mind Women Words podcast. If you go to our bookstore section of our webpage, you will see at the bottom we have a link where you can go to Audible, and if you sign up, you get 2 free audiobooks. I know, right? You could do 2 of Julia's books.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think so one of the books that I got with my first, one of my credits was The Great Alone. And I started that. And then, excuse me, the second one that I got.
I thought I sent you The Great Alone.
Hmm?
I thought I sent you that one.
Oh, no, yeah, you sent, no, okay, so I bought one because I have 3 audiobooks.
Okay.
Because I got The Great Alone from you, and then I got Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris, which is the book that I listened to while I was cleaning the house and going, oh my God, what is happening? And then I got The Magician King. It's the 3rd book in the Magicians trilogy, which is what the show The Magicians is based on.
Oh, okay.
And I'm listening to the second one in the car, and I'm kicking myself for buying the 3rd one because now I have to wait and finish the second one first. But yeah, so definitely get your Audible.
Yes, good. I'm actually I'll direct people to this too.
Yay!
Yeah, and the one that I'm actually listening to right now is Circe.
Oh, I've heard amazing things.
Yes, that's beautifully done. And that's one of the things I love about audiobooks is that there's some books I feel like, or some authors need to be listened to. Italo Calvino, an Italian author whom I love, he's, my goal is I'm trying to teach myself Italian because I know the swear words because that's what I learned growing up. That was the only thing I learned because we only heard that when we were in trouble. So I'm actually trying to learn proper Italian now. And I love his books so much that my goal is to listen to them, then read them in both English and then in Italian. It's a very, very lofty goal. I know this. I got time.
That's great. You know who I heard that book? Taylor Jenkins Reid, who, if you haven't read any of her stuff, you got to just go through her entire list. But she's the one who told me about Circe and was like, I can't. I'm so excited. I don't get to read like electively though, so it's always Christmas until that's the only time I have to read.
Yeah, I can understand that. With the amount of books that we read for Wine Women Awards, because we try to read every book that comes through, whether it's Michelle or myself, or sometimes both of us, like in our books of the month. I don't have time for extra books. I just don't.
Yeah, there are days that it's like between the books of the month and our interview books, like we don't always get through all of the books of the month. We definitely both read.
Mm-hmm.
The interview books we'll both read, or if one of us doesn't finish it, we'll be like, hey, how does it end? What happens? And then I'm in grad school and I do freelance writing. So some days it's like, let's set that alarm for 4:30 in the morning and read some more. So audiobooks are awesome for me because I can multitask.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Oh my gosh, yes. Wow. I'm like, I can read more than like one book at a time. I've never tried this before.
I'm actually technically reading 3 right now, if you count the audiobook.
We do count the audiobook. This whole like, is it really reading or not? Yes, it's reading. You're taking the book in. We count the audiobook. So you're totally reading 3 books.
Yeah, I'm reading 3. I've got Circe going on. I've got The City of Brass. And then I'm technically reading Love and Ruin. I've started that one. So that one's kind of on the back burner.
I read the new Emily Giffen book came out a couple weeks ago.
Wow. Good job.
I read it in a day.
Wow.
It never happens, but it's amazing. Like she has this really weird way of writing characters that there's always one character in every single book that I can totally relate to in one way or another. And this one is no exception, but that one was really relevant on many levels. It's very good.
Oh, very cool. So what's the setup of the one you guys are reading now?
So the one that we are reading now, Diana, since you are the one who has started it.
Oh, yeah.
Diana,
everyone talks about it. It's The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I believe I pronounced that right. We'll see. Basically, we've got a street urchin girl who she's a healer. She has the power to heal. She's living in Cairo. I'm not sure how ancient Cairo, but we're talking, old Cairo. And she inadvertently calls a djinn into the normal plane. She goes to heal a girl who's got some, weird stuff going on. And turns out the girl is possessed by a demon, and she inadvertently calls a djinn, and there is all sorts of it takes like 2 chapters for her to get this set up, and by the 3rd chapter you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Who's this person? What's this? There's all these secrets happening. I'm gonna get text at 3 o'clock in the morning from Michelle going, oh my god. Really early in the book when she starts reading, because that usually ends up happening.
Yeah, that's when I was listening to one of my books. You weren't reading it, so I had to message the author on Twitter because I had to freak out with someone.
This is what happens when we don't read the same books. We end up bugging the authors on social media just so that we could talk about it. When I was reading The Phantom's Apprentice, in the beginning of the year because I was doing a review for it. So I read it ahead of time before we had Heather on the show. I was bugging Heather about the book because Michelle hadn't read it yet. So I'm messaging her going, oh my God, I can't believe this character did this. How could you write this? This is why we have to read the same books at the same time.
You should always read with a friend. It's like it's a social thing. You can't read a book by yourself because
especially you need a support group. You really
do. Because my husband, he's not so much a reader, and I'm listening to a book while I'm getting ready, and he's already ready, sitting on the bed playing with his phone, and I'm like, this woman does not see that Jack is setting her up to be completely dependent on him, and he's controlling, and he's sitting there like, babe.
Yeah, he's like, is this a Housewives episode?
I'm like, don't you hear what is happening right now?
Oh, I'll start psychoanalyzing characters or like doing like this deep literary analyzation of books to my husband, and he's a light reader, but he's like sci-fi reader, and he's like, babe, come on, can't you just text Michelle?
He's like, this is why I like the drones. The drones don't have feelings. We don't have to figure out why they're doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
You've just been programmed that way.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, and you have Star Wars, so it's all about the Force. So,
right, done.
Yeah.
See, I can't comment about that because I don't know. But I saw that
it's fun when we get sci-fi books on the show for Michelle because it's so out of her element that sometimes I love to pull one in just to throw her off.
No, I mean, like very common Star Wars references I will catch, but like many of them, it's kind of like.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I try, and I saw that The Last Jedi is on Netflix, so I want to watch it. It's The Last Jedi, right?
Or no, probably not. Because the original 3, oh God, I don't even know. Why am I jumping into this conversation? I can't talk about this.
To make it easier on myself, I go by the numbers. So you can go with Star Wars Episode 8. Star Wars Episode 8 is on Netflix.
See, that doesn't help me because I know it goes.
The original ones were like 4, 5, 6, right?
Yep.
It's 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7. No wait.
7, 8.
7, 8, 9.
No, 8. We're only up to 8. 9 comes out
this
year or next year. I think it is.
Well, what about the new one that they did the Han Solo?
Those are offshoots. Those are spin-offs.
So those aren't numbered?
Those are not numbered. No.
Those are like 2A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
God, I'm so nerdy right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's totally not a Death Star on the wall behind me, covered by the light at the moment. And that is not a Darth Vader teddy bear behind me either. So,
okay,
we're just gonna...
I'm going to go.
Well, fortunately, our book of the month is not Star Wars. I mean, not fortunately, because I wouldn't read it. I definitely would. But for the sake of this conversation,
right?
Fortunately.
Right. So, okay, so Diana, what's the main character's deal? Where is she coming from? What's her thing?
She's one of these people. She's trying to find herself. Her name is Nari. We're going to go with Nari. Nahri. Nari. Sounds about right.
Nari. Yeah.
Yeah. So she has no memories of her childhood. Interestingly, this is something you'll like, Michelle. She speaks a language that she has no knowledge of where it came from. It's like her faintest memory of her childhood, something that she's always spoken, and nobody can place where this language is from. But she can pick up on multiple languages really easily. She just has to listen to it for a little bit, and then she'll start speaking it. So a lot of it is her trying to find out who she is and what kind of person she's going to be.
See, now, if I were to conjure a magical power randomly, picking up languages like that would definitely be on the list.
Yeah.
But if we're being totally honest, being able to snap my fingers and have all the toys put away and the couches vacuumed every night would definitely be my go-to.
But then you wouldn't have time to listen to audiobooks.
That's true. But then all the fur, we have a husky and we have a white husky and dark couches. So when he like, he blinks and fur flies off of his body. And it's just, I hate, like he's in molting season right now. So he's blowing his coat and it's just like clumps of hair fall off of him. So I vacuum twice a day. So, that would be so wonderful.
Now, is this Jin like a wish granting kind of Jin? Or evil, or what's going on?
He was, but the ones who were wish granting, according to this, were enslaved. They were pretty much slaves.
Like the genie from
So this one, yeah. He was a warrior. So he's a warrior one. He's this badass, takes no prisoners, kills regularly. And he's summoned by this young girl who has no idea who she is. He's brought down into the earthly plane, and he knows that there's something off about her. She's not strictly human. There's something weird going on with her, and he doesn't know what, and now he's forced to babysit her. So he is in this really awkward place of having to babysit this mortal girl who just won't stop asking questions, who won't trust him, who's constantly causing more problems than really what she's worth in his mind. So he's in this really weird place. And where I left off, I got to see a peek of the Jin homeworld. And there's all sorts of political things going on, which I can't get into without giving stuff away. But it's the setup for this whole like dynamic world. It's really engrossing right from the get-go. I got a little sunburned in the pool yesterday reading this.
So what I'm hearing basically is he will not grant wishes to vacuum couches. That's what I'm picking up.
No.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't do that, but he would babysit your dog.
I mean, I love my dog, but I don't know. I'll drink more wine.
I would say if I was a Jin, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be completely honest, I would be evil. If I had powers, I would not. There's a reason why I don't have powers, because if I did, I would be causing all sorts of chaos. I'd be kind of like a female Loki, just causing trouble everywhere I went.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Michelle.
So that would be your superpower, just like
Chaos.
Yeah, chaos. I'd be like a
something
female Loki.
Cultivate. Like, I'm not sure you need,
Yeah, but she already has that. Like, it's. I would imagine
it's in her.
It's in her, exactly. So it would just be amplified.
I'm blushing right now.
Like, thanks.
I mean, you're in Slytherin for a reason. If we're gonna get really nerdy here right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is true. But I think there's your basic level of chaos. Your basic level, human level, and then there's like this whole other level where you make things disappear for no particular reason. You shapeshift and cause other issues. I mean, there's this whole level, yeah.
And that just becomes like your job, right? I mean, then you're like,
oh my God, I have to shapeshift today.
Right. I thought this was gonna be like a Netflix and chill day, but nope. Apparently, I've gotta like turn myself into a wolf and like run through the town.
Wow, you guys totally take the fun out of causing trouble.
I think I see it as a chore. I'm like, that just takes so much energy. Like having to think about how I would fuck things up just takes so much. Oh, sorry. Can we not?
No, I swear you're perfectly fine. I'm funding Michelle's kids' college fund, so
25 cents at a time.
Yeah, right? I'm gonna get an invoice at the end of the year. Written in crayon.
With stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel like if Lily became a Jin, she would be chaos right there with you. Like, and I say that with love because I love my daughter, but
the 2-year-old that we just met?
No, that was Landon. He would like be like a Jin of love. Like, he just loves. But Lily's
totally my girl. She's a little diva.
she's on another level. She's funny, but she can push you within like an inch of your sanity and laugh about it.
That's
But you love your kid. You totally love your kid.
And what's funny is one day she might go back and listen to all these episodes and hear me talk about her this way.
Yeah, it depends when. If she'll either, there's always that turnaround, right, where you're like middle school and it's like, Mom, and then around 20, it's like, yeah, I was kind of, yeah.
You're right.
True story.
Yeah.
So how many chapters are you in, Diana?
Oh gosh, I'm about maybe 3 or 4 chapters in. Actually,
what's the proportion of the book?
You know what? Yes, I'm 5 chapters in. So, and it's about a 500 page book.
Okay.
A little over 500 pages. So.
There might be a few 4:30 a.m. days for me.
Do we feel that there might be a romance on the table?
I think so. I think between the Jin's name is Dari, and I feel like they're shaping up that whole dynamic between the two of them. They hate each other right now, but eventually they'll love each other. I can feel it. I'm calling it right now.
Okay.
It sounds a little. It sounds a little bit like just the vibe that I'm getting. Stanton and whatever her name is from.
Yes, totally like that. Native Star.
Yes.
Lovely steampunk book. Goes back to what, 2000?
A while ago. That's an old book that we read.
Yeah, I think it was like 2010, 2011 when that one came out. But yeah,
that was when we were doing Wine, Women, and Words without actually recording it. It was just us drinking wine, talking about books.
Yeah, after work, getting Chinese food.
During work.
And yeah. We called it sorority nights back then.
Yes, we would buy like insane amounts of Chinese food and insane amounts of junk food and wine. And we would watch like the most random movies on Netflix we could find and talk about books. It was awesome.
Oh, that is great.
Scotty Doesn't Know is our song.
Yeah.
Scotty Doesn't Know from Eurotrip.
Oh, yeah.
It's our song. It's our couple song.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So, Julia, what powers would you have if you were a Jin?
Oof. I mean, I'd be one of those, like, I'm hoping for world peace, which I think defeats the purpose of a Jin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if I could have something that would just like grant me something I want, I would probably, and this is just because right now I've just been in the booth and I've been writing in the mornings and like getting into the booth and my head and just done. And so like I feel like all I want right now, the only special power I want is to just like be physically fit without having to actually do it.
I love that.
I'd be okay with that too.
I will record these like books occasionally. Like vampires always have this amazing metabolism where they just, I don't know, because I guess maybe just being dead. I don't know how it works. They have these metabolisms where they're just like eating all the time and burning it off. And I just thought that would be nice.
Right? It totally would. I've got a little Buddha belly going on right now. Because I spent 3 years writing this book that I'm trying to get published right now, and I'm like, I spent all my time writing, and I was like, I don't need to worry about exercise. But I'm over 30. You do need to worry about exercise, and now I have to try to get rid of this stuff.
When I'm doing it, like I get all of it. I understand. I hate doing it. I'm not one of those. I'm not an exercise person, but I do feel better once I've done it. I sleep better. My mental state is better. All of that, but like. Between my job, I'm trying to figure out how to move the writing to like a desk treadmill or one of those fit bike things or whatever. Like people have had success with that because that I can do. I can't move when I'm in the booth. Like my job is to not move. So I need to figure out a way to like diversify my life because right now it's just a lot of sitting. It's not good.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I sit for 8 hours because I'm a paralegal in the day job. Yeah. And then at night I come home and I write or I do this and I'm like, yeah, I'm not exercising at all. And I was one of those obnoxious people up until I was 30 who could just eat junk food and all sorts of crap and not gain an ounce. I was so skinny when I married my husband, and now I'm like, put a belly.
My metabolism is just now like, it must have stopped maybe like a couple of years ago, but I didn't notice it until like just now.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined a gym and I paid it for up front for a whole year. So now I have to go. Otherwise I'm gonna be mad that I spent all that money and did nothing. So for example,
it used to, when I was doing more on camera, this was a thing. And I was always, when I was doing on camera, I was never like your typical actress. Like I was always a size 6 and like, God forbid. But anyway, but when I was doing more on camera and I was just trying to like keep it together, the only thing that would work for me, I would do these really high intensity Pilates reformer crazy classes in LA. And if you canceled within 24 hours of the scheduled class, they would ding you $25. And that was honestly the only accountability that worked for me. Was like, oh, there's no way. I'm not paying $25 to miss a class. There's no way. So I would just suck it up and go.
That's a good plan, though.
But I don't know that I would just, if I had like paid money for a gym for a year, that would be enough motivation. I don't know.
I have to have an end goal for me. I find I have to have an end goal. I have to be fooling myself that it's something that I enjoy. You know, like when I was in the gym, I was training to hike Machu Picchu. So that's what kept me going to the gym. Though that didn't work because I had to do the walk of shame on the first day. I didn't even make it to lunch. But right now, it's a matter of fooling myself that it's something that I enjoy, like Zumba. I'll go to Zumba class. I'm the white girl in the back who's just moving around, like not knowing what she's doing, but I'm like, I'm moving, I'm burning calories. Yeah, sure.
That was me last week. I did my first Zumba class and it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. I need to find a physical activity that I actually enjoy and look forward to. Like that's kind of the problem, is like for me it's a chore, it's working out, and like it's and I'm so overloaded with work that it's like I can't possibly take this hour and do it, but I do it. But if I had something like I actually really got into and enjoyed, I could see liking it. Right now I just wish I would like, that would be my first thing.
Goals right there.
Yeah, it's not even a size or like physical. I just want to feel the way I feel when I'm consistently working out. That's all. I just want to feel that way.
Like have energy and sleep well and get out of bed and like function properly.
Feel good and confident and
yeah. The vampire thing does sound good, except like a whole allergic to garlic thing. That could be a problem for me.
Oh, that would be horrible. Well, also the blood thing.
Yeah. Maybe I wonder if werewolves are thinner.
Well, they're fit. I mean, they run around.
I feel like, no one in the history of my on-camera career ever asked me to play a werewolf. Hey.
That could be an audiobook challenge if you ever narrate.
Oh, I've done werewolves. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we covered this, Michelle. She narrates all the books. Of course she's done a werewolf.
It is all the books. That's right.
But yeah, and then otherwise I think that I can't think of another I love the language idea, but I also feel like we're getting there. Like technology, I mean, I was just traveling and being able to even just have Google Translate cached on my phone, so that, I mean, it's unbelievable. Like being able to hold up your camera to a menu and it just is translating in front of you. I can't even believe that's happening.
Yeah, my sister lives in France, and she has that while she's been learning the language, and that was just so cool to see that.
Amazing. So yeah, I would love to have that facility with language. Would be great. Like invisibility.
Invisibility would be fun.
You could have a lot of trouble with invisibility.
You could do a lot of chaos.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
That would be like an accessory for you. It would be a tool.
Right?
I don't know. I don't really know. I'm so boring that I don't even know what I would do. I
You said you would clean the house. The house would match Mary Poppins style. You'd just be like,
I'd be Mary Poppins. That's what I'm describing. I would be Mary Poppins.
yeah.
Knowing me, I'd probably end up going over to the White House and just having a blast with the Cheeto. just messing with him on a daily
You
basis.
can't possibly make this more chaotic than it already is, though.
That's true.
Like,
true. That's so true.
what could you possibly do?
Yeah. I can mess with the toupee. I can totally mess with the
Just go like around him.
Yeah, sure.
Give him mohawks.
Well,
So I can shoot something at him, and then oh, I don't want to do that. No, bad images. Images.
why did we go there? Why?
Let's go back to the book. So, how long are you giving yourself to read this? How long are you giving yourself to read the book?
We have a month. We have we're still we haven't fully confirmed the author yet. Last I talked to the publicist a few months ago, she was coming in. But I kind of dropped the ball on doing the month ahead, confirming that the author will be on. So we are 95% sure that the author will be on at the end of the month. So we have until the end of the month to.
I'll just come and take it. Hang on. City of Brass.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, as long as everything goes correctly, she will be coming on the 26th. So 21 days, 3 weeks to read 500 pages. I can do that.
You're on a roll.
Totally. Just I've learned that I need like 4 hours of sleep really to function at my bare minimum. And so far it's really worked out well for me. I mean, my children are still alive, so my house is still standing.
The audiobook is 19 and a half hours.
Oh.
I saw, when I was going
That's true.
when I was getting ready to go to North Carolina, that was one of the books that I saw in the library, and I was going to get it. And I was like, you know what? That's a book of the month. That's cheating. I won't read it now. But if I listen to it during the book of the month, that counts.
That totally counts. Absolutely.
What about Whisper Sync?
Ooh, I haven't tried Whisper Sync yet. But it sounds really intriguing.
Yeah.
What is Whisper Sync?
The Whisper Sync is on Amazon. Mm-hmm. So when you buy the ebook, it will tell you, would you like to also add the audiobook for a certain amount of money? And then what will happen is when you're either listening to the audiobook and you stop off and you pick up your ebook, it picks up right where you left off in the audiobook.
Ooh, that sounds convenient.
And vice versa, I believe, although to be fair, I have not done this, but people swear by this because you're reading the book, oh, I gotta go, you get in your car, you turn on the audio, and it's right where you left off in the ebook.
I love how that goes. I feel like the paper books, they never truly went away, but I think there's for the physical books, there's a whole new revolution for having the physical books. And I think a lot of it has to do with Instagram, where Instagram, who knew that Instagram would be this big platform for sharing books?
I didn't know. When my publisher was like, you need to get on Instagram, I was like, I don't understand why. Like, on Twitter, I thought Twitter was where the words lived. Like, I don't And I love Instagram so much. Bookstagram is so great. And people tag me on Instagram way more than they tag me on Twitter or Facebook. Just like these beautiful shots of my book. I'm like, God, I love this. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's all those shots, those gorgeous shots that, book photography. I go through, for our books that we promote, I'll go through Michael's, and I'm grabbing like fake flowers and like other, like the backing scrapbook. Just look at me and be like, so is that for Instagram? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. And then I get the I don't want to know.
Instagram is probably like single-handedly kept like Michael's and Joanne's in business.
Oh yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. Huh. Okay. Well, I feel like we did not talk about the book enough. I can keep asking you questions about your book.
That's okay because, like I said, Michelle hasn't read it yet, and so we're just a few chapters in, really.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So this is the first one we're actually. Prior to this, we've actually had our first episode of the month has been just us talking about the book, talking about what's coming up this month for authors, and it was just her and I, and we're actually full for the year for our guests for the show. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. So Michelle and I were talking, and it's like, you know what? I think it's time we open up the rest of the month to have authors on, to be able to get more people on.
I know, we're growing up. It's weird. So strange.
So strange. Okay, do you have dream casting yet? Or are you not far enough into the book yet, Diana?
I have a little bit of dream casting. I haven't casted, and I love the fact that you go to the dream casting right away because this is totally a thing. Have you guys watched iZombie at all?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, Raul Coley, the guy who plays the doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor. I
know who you're talking about, even though I've never seen that show, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to see him as Darth. He's got that sarcasm down really well.
Yeah.
And, just rough him up a little bit, add some tattoos to him. I think he would be good.
He's a tall lad.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dar's also a djinn, so
yes,
I mean,
right. No, I like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So putting eyes on him like Spock.
Yeah.
So that's the only one that I've fully cast so far. Or there's another one. Actually, there is one of the priests from, and I can't think of the actor's name right off the bat, but he's been, he's an older Indian man, or I don't know if he's Indian or Pakistani, but he's been in just about every sci-fi series. He was in Stargate, the TV series. I think he would, there's a priest character I think he would be really good at. I'll have to look him up and post it on our Facebook page.
But fantasy casting is like a big thing for Wine Woman Words.
Is it?
We take our fantasy casting very seriously. Just because, one day a producer might come to us and say, hey, we're turning this book into a movie. What do you got? We need to have our list ready.
I think it's good.
Yeah, if this whole writing thing and podcasting thing doesn't work out for me, I could just go be a casting.
Go be a casting director. Projects that were once books.
Yeah, that's the only one I want to do.
Just adaptations. That's all I do.
That'll be my specialty.
And making sure that it's not too different from the book.
This is a thing, yeah.
So what was I just watched? Someone fell off the couch.
There's no blood, right?
I just heard a thud. No, maybe not. Maybe it was River. I wish I could remember what movie I just watched, but it was so, like, they got to the ending, they got to the same ending, but the way that they got there was very, very different. So it was like, we're just going to take the title of the book and the names of the characters, but we're going to do our own thing with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, Shopaholic, that did that to me. That one annoyed me because that was similar to the book. It was not a true adaptation.
I wish I could remember. It's going to bother me now, but I can't remember what movie it was. But I'm really excited for Sharp Objects starting on Monday.
Yes, Gillian. God.
I didn't know that you did Gone Girl, but like that was the most twisted, like she. What was she like to read? Like her character? I can't remember her name.
Incredible, Amy. I would do. I mean, I've said this before that I would just, if I could just do Gillian Flynn books for like the rest of forever. That's what I would be doing. I love that voice so much. She's so funny, and no holds barred, and I love it. Those were the 2 days of Gone Girl were just probably the most pleasurable days I've ever spent in the booth, because just playing a psychopath like that is so much fun.
Oh, interesting. Now that brings up another question for me. How long does it take you to record an audiobook?
Depends on the book. Obviously, I do about 100 pages a day, roughly. So my portion of Gone Girl, which was also about a 20-hour book, I think, I did. Well, then I would have been there longer. No, I think it was about 2 days. Anyway, but like Great Alone, I think I was in it for 5 full days, maybe. Yeah.
I love the audio for The Great Alone. I mean, I love Kristen Hanna.
Oh.
The Nightingale brought me to tears, and this one too. I was close to the end of the book, and I was like, okay, stop what I'm doing. I've got to listen. I've got to find out what happens at the end of this story. It's just such a good book, and I loved your performance in that. That was such a great performance.
Yeah, there's a scene in The Great Alone where I feel like I would come out of that every like page and just be like, do a lap. Like I just have to like walk around and get it together again and go back in, because it's just I don't want to ruin anything.
We'll say 2 things about The Great Alone. It's a tearjerker.
It's a tearjerker.
It is definitely has that Alaskan frontier spirit, for sure.
I felt that way. I felt cold while I was recording. I was like, it's really cold. Yeah, it was a lot. Anyway, ladies, I'm going to depart.
Yes, we are definitely at our hour.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Julia. We had so much fun.
Absolutely. This was awesome. And yeah, if you ever, now that I know your people like audiobooks so much, if you're ever doing a book and you want to have like narrator and author together or something like that, just let me know and I'll put you in touch with narrators.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Sounds so much fun.
Yeah, we will. I'll throw some books out at you that we've got coming up. That could be a possibility.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
It was great.
It was, and we'll have to have you back on, whether it's for My Ox Prettier specifically, or for the next book, or for one of the many audiobooks that you record.
Yeah, pick one. All right, guys.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.